In an age when nature is besieged and the political landscape blighted, and one stands stoop-shouldered and wincing into the howling wasteland of epic-scale idiocy extant in the era, a solitary person can feel lost, marooned inside an increasingly isolated sense of self.
Whether urban, suburban, or rural, the sense of alienation is profound. As discernible to the eye as the constellations of foreclosure signs stippling overgrown front lawns across the land, as hidden as the abandoned dreams within. The fraying ligature of the landscape of the United States reveals an inner geography of alienation and enemy. Living on the island of Manhattan, I daily negotiate an urban layout of practical but identity-decimating grids, a cityscape of harsh, inhuman right angles, a geography that renders street encounters abrupt, curt, and intrusive. After a time, one begins, by reflex, to buffer oneself against such intrusions, withdrawing inward, becoming a self-enclosed walking fortress, shielding oneself from the degradations of these impersonal affronts that feel altogether personal, with BlackBerries, iPods, and other vestments attendant to the muttered prayers of the self-absorbed. While above the street, corporate towers that are steel and concrete kingdoms of blind, willful ascension blot the skyline. These structures flee upward as if to escape the implications of life lived at street level and sharing in the consequences of decisions made within their sterile, insular sanctums of power and cupidity. This is architecture as blind hubris, creations made by the hand of mortal men, yet failing to have any connection to the ground. These buildings crowd out the real estate of the sacred. Their manic skyward thrust leaves them and those imprisoned within, bereft of roots that reach down into the renewing loam of earth, to where mortal vanity is delivered to dust and decay and transubstantiate into the compost that nourishes new life. Alienation arises not only from our loss of engagement with communal experience, but also speaks of our estrangement from sky, sea, and soil. Our alienation speaks of our loss of the ability to speak the native tongue of the breathing moment. Rilke instructed, "The language of the soul is a terrifying angel. It does not comfort us. It decimates our daily concerns because its vocabulary consists of a larger order. Its grammar and syntax connects the narrative of all things. It speaks star, ocean, storm. It does not say, 'Good boy, you've been so well behaved, so filled with dignity and decorum, so utterly appropriate for your age and era. Good boy. Now here's your reward, a life free of doubt and uncertainty. Are you feeling better now? Good. Now back to work.' Personally and collectively, it is imperative we seek a rapprochement of mind and nature. For if we ignore her entreaties, she seizes us. If you are lost, nature isn't. Let her tell her story through you. Here's one, told in poetic tongue, limning the ongoing calamity of our estrangement. A widow's veil of black oil shrouds the face of the Gulf of Mexico. Above, the sullen air grieves. Inland, swamps have been drained to put through interstates and state roads. Then, from resentful soil arose parasitic vines of retail strips and fungal subdivision homes, followed by swarms of descending human gnat clouds. The air so thick with us, the land can't breathe in without gagging. Although the swamp may appear to have receded, this is subterfuge. It doubled back, and its brackish water seeps into the lowlands at the coastal basins of our minds. We may have burned back the swamp's dense green within green canopy, yet her cacophony clutters our thoughts. Nature has disguised herself as the swamp of human culture, and she will free herself by our undoing. She has tricked us into believing that by the dazzling design of our imaginings, we have freed ourselves from her implicate architecture. Hence, she draws us to our demise. Life and death in a swamp are one. The swamp lives on as individuals perish. For we are surrounded by the ersatz mating calls of mass media, with its sales pitch stridulation, its croaking come-ons, until the ceaseless calling pervades us like the emanation of crickets, frogs, and nocturnal birds throughout a night in high summer. Our minds have grown sluggish in this swamp. Our passions have become as torpid as heat-dazed alligators. Yet this is deceptive. Violence in a swamp comes in an instant and without warning, and then just as rapidly returns to the illusion of stillness. So reports the 6 o'clock news. The swamp's congress of chaos has overgrown the places within us where our secret desires turn to compost. There we have taken to wearing the swamp's green canopy as camouflage, making us oblivious to our own intentions. Our wholeness shattered. We have adorned ourselves with small shards of specialization, a broken costume jewelry of the mind, fragmented and obscure as the sky through the riot of branches above the swamp. Here in this place of nightmare enchantment, we are perpetually on the prowl. We wear copperheads, cottonmouth, and coral snakes like Mardi Gras beads. Any obstruction we meet along our path intensifies our coiled aggression. We have a head full of snakes. We hiss at traffic, miserable mimicry of the territorial imperative of animals. We will kill for empire and a parking space. But mostly, we languish in a zoo of our own making, where we stare sans comprehension at the confines of our enclosure, chew our paws, pace the cage, and are restless for mealtime. Like a caged animal, we are no longer what we were meant to be. We have forgotten what it's like to be alive. We are no longer human nor animal, but a thing that waits for lunch. And I defy any caged creature in a cubicle to defy that point. Near dawn, we stretch in sleep, open our arms, and in an act unbeknownst to ourselves, release a billion hummingbirds. Such vast numbers of them pour forth from us that they darken the morning sky, and by the billions upon billions of their flutterings, of their individual beating wings, they create an immense windstorm that flattens the Walmart on the outskirts of town, the very structure they drain the wetlands to build. Of course, everyone believes it was a downburst from a tropical storm that caused the carnage, but I know that explanation is a cover story. I saw the towering nimbus, comprised of tiny emerald birds, gather in the mist-veiled tree line, and then rise from the wilderness of our cast-out desires.